Hey, what's up guys, Mashin here, come back with a brand new video. If you guys know, about a week ago, I made a video talking about if it was a better opportunity to buy now than to potentially wait for an operation because we saw prices down almost 20%. Today, we're going to be talking about the recovery of some of those items and also the profit potential that exists for some other ones that haven't yet recovered. We're going to be talking about that and a lot more in just a quick second after a word from our sponsor, Arco Digital. Today's sponsor is Arco Digital. Now, if you've ever wanted clothing with a CSGO sticker on it, now is your chance. Now, Arco offers sticker designs that have been sent over to Valve, and if Valve accepts them, he can no longer sell those products. So if you want something, it's better to grab it earlier than later. Arco is a small creator who does this on the side for a passion project rather than for profit. It's important to remember you're working with a small business, which means pretty much everything is customizable. All it takes is one DM. And since all the clothing is done by a professional company, it's all going to be top tier. And if you want to order, you better do it quick as the deadlines for Christmas are fast approaching, and don't forget to use code MASTERSHINY at checkout for an extra discount. Thank you so much Arco for sponsoring today, and back to the video. Now, because I'm talking about things that could potentially go up in price, I gotta give a few major disclaimers. First up, I'm not guaranteeing or necessarily even saying that these items are going to go up in profit. Everything you do is your own risk, and this should give you an idea of items to potentially look at, but not necessarily to blindly invest into. The other thing I want to mention is if an operation or even another major update or game-changing update rolls around, these is probably going to be a little bit more obsolete. It's not going to matter as much as we're going to have a new market dynamic at that time. This is a rare instance where I'm seeing a discrepancy between the graphs, and I thought I would share it with you. Now, we'll get to that discrepancy in just a quick second, but there's a couple cases I want to mention that have pretty much recovered. Now, they haven't 100% fully recovered, but when they lose 20% of their value and gain 18% of that back, that's pretty much recovery in my opinion. And the biggest one is obviously that breakout case. It went from around $4 down to maybe $3.17, and now it's pretty much up to around $3.95 to $4. It's in that range. Obviously that range is a little bit wide, but that's not really too important. Now, the other case that has recovered, not to the same extent, but also it has recovered a decent amount, is the glove case as well. And though it doesn't look like it necessarily from this graph, you can see the price was around $340, then it went down all the way to $275, and now it's back at $325, showing a pretty significant recovery. Now, the two cases I mentioned are the glove case and the breakout case, and these two cases are very important, not for necessarily the price they have on them, but for the stature of the case. When you think about staple cases of CSGO, these two are definitely ones that come to mind. If you look at the first page of the Steam market, it's almost guaranteed both of them will be there, and usually in that top 5 position, one of them will be, which is very odd considering that most of the other ones, cases around that price point at least, usually fall much lower. Therefore, they're called the staple cases, at least in my opinion, and they're very good reference points, but it gives you a rough estimate of how the market is feeling at that certain time. Now, these cases are important because I want to talk about another case, the Spectrum 2 case, which is something I also have an investment in, and as always, you can always find my investments in the description. It takes one click, you don't need to leave a comment even, it's super easy to find. But talking about the Spectrum 2 case here, the Spectrum 2 case is still down significantly. It dropped pretty significantly with the rest of the case market, and it's down still about 20% from the price it was sitting at beforehand, which I estimate to be about 75 cents, and now it's at 60 cents. So there's definitely a significant drop here, but the reason I point this out is because we have to go back to the original update that kind of caused this. Now, whether you say it's just overall community, how they're feeling towards an operation or something else, it mainly comes down to either an operation or this update to the M4A1S that happened not too long ago. And you might be wondering the importance of that, but this is where the entire video comes together. The thing is, if we want to look in the past, there was an update very similar where the M4A1S received a nerf. It's about 6 months ago at this point. It happened in June, but the graphs of the cases during that time is very important. This is that update. You can see here June 15th, all they did was lower the magazine size, so you now had 20 bullets instead of the original 25. Now we want to go back to the past graphs. If we want to look look at the past graphs, specifically the glove case, you can see here that the recovery for the glove case started on the 25th. And you can see here that the 15th was that event that really, you could say, contributed, or you can say even started, to that pretty significant small downfall you see there. The case dropped a pretty decent amount there, at least 10%, and quickly recovered. And the thing is, the 25th on the glove case is when that recovery started. But heading over to the Spectrum 2 case here, you can see that the 25th was actually the bottom date for the Spectrum 2 case. This is what I'm trying to get at. You can see here in the past example that those staple cases, or the one we're looking at specifically, the glove case, was much faster to recover just by a day or two, but still faster to recover than the Spectrum 2 case. And that was in a perfectly ideal market where everything was going to plan. Fast forward today, where we've got a market which has a lot of kind of unease about it because people are questioning if an operation is going to come, and therefore we're seeing a lot of hold off from investors, which has kind of led us to our situation where we saw a slower recovery from that dip, which is a very similar dip to what we saw with the past update talking about in June. And the thing is, we received a very similar update just a couple weeks ago that started this whole downfall, or at least contributed in a major way. And the thing is, fast forwarding to today, our dip has lasted a little bit longer than the dip we saw in the past for the staple cases, but talking about those secondary cases like the Spectrum 2 case, we have not yet seen a recovery for them. But the thing is, if we want to look at the past example, we did see a recovery there. Now, what am I specifically getting at here? Well, that's a great question, and it's very important. I'm not specifically saying just to go all in on the Spectrum 2 case. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm specifically getting at here is that the Spectrum 2 case should most likely in most situations have recovered by now. But the fact is, we're seeing so much investor hold off because of potential operation that it's provided an okay, potentially buying opportunity to get into the Spectrum 2 case or most other secondary cases. I pick out the Spectrum 2 case here because it's one that I have a lot of information on. It's one I'm very familiar with, whereas if we're talking about the Chroma 2 case, I really don't have that great of knowledge on the Chroma 2 case. Obviously, I know the basics and all that, but I've pretty much followed the Spectrum 2 case up from 10 cents, which is not something I can say for every other case, and therefore I have a lot of knowledge about the Spectrum 2 case. And the thing is, we're starting to see it now where the secondary cases could potentially be starting to turn that corner, and it might not be the worst opportunity to at least specifically look at them. Obviously, I'm not trying to say invest into them. As with all of my videos, I'm not trying to push you towards an investment. I'm trying to show you potential investments that definitely have a potential to go up. Everything's potentially here and nothing is guaranteed. The other thing I want to talk about is what I'm calling the excess, and that's cases that just don't have enough liquidity. The thing is, these cases that you're looking at most likely have to be decently liquid because that means a lot of people hold them and therefore a lot of people can sell them off. If we want to look at a different case that still has some liquidity, it's the Operation Phoenix case. But the thing is, the Operation Phoenix case has some liquidity, but it has a ton of people that are looking to buy it. That you can see from the graph, it's pretty much recovered completely. I don't put it with the staple cases because I don't think it's there just yet, but it's definitely got a low enough liquidity that there's so many people wanting to buy it that it's able to recover to that point. But that's all I have for today, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.